Picture this scenario. It's 3 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling and your mind is racing through every possible financial disaster. Your car creates a funny noise that sounds expensive. Your laptop is acting up right before a deadline. Rumors of layoffs are swirling at work. Or maybe your pet needs emergency surgery. Sound familiar? Most people believe financial milestones are just arbitrary numbers rich people invented to make the rest of us feel inadequate. But what if I told you there is a specific dollar amount that can eliminate almost all of these midnight anxiety sessions and fundamentally transform how you navigate life? It isn't $1 million. That is the Hollywood number. It isn't even $100,000. That is the retirement number. The number that changes your life today is $10,000. My name is Olaf, and I spend way too much time thinking about money and human psychology. If you want to understand why some people glide through challenges while others drown in stress, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Today, we are going deep into the psychology, the math, and the strategy of the first $10,000. Before we dive into the solution, we need to brutally diagnose the problem. Let's look at what life actually feels like without this safety net. We all know that specific sinking feeling at the grocery store. You're mentally calculating if you can afford the name brand cereal or if you need to stick with the generic version that tastes like cardboard. Or think about the social pressure. Your friends suggest going out to a nice dinner to celebrate a birthday. Instead of feeling excited, you feel dread. You have to come up with a creative excuse because you can't admit that a $50 meal would wreck your budget for the entire week. This is the reality for millions of people living paycheck to paycheck. It is called the scarcity mindset. When resources are tight, your brain actually functions differently. Studies show that financial stress can lower your effective IQ by up to 13 points. Why? Because your brain is constantly running a background program called survival mode. Every decision becomes a calculation. Every unexpected expense feels like a catastrophe. You are constantly playing defense with your money instead of offense. But here is where things get interesting. There is a specific psychological phenomenon that happens when you accumulate your first $10,000, and it has nothing to do with buying expensive things. In fact, most people who reach this milestone don't change their spending habits at all. The first major shift is the end of what psychologists call decision fatigue. Every day you make thousands of tiny financial decisions. Should I buy the generic pasta? Can I afford to grab a coffee? Is premium gas worth it? Is this parking spot too expensive? Each of these micro decisions burns mental energy. By 5 p.m., you are exhausted. Not from your job, but from the constant math you've been doing in your head. But when you have $10,000 in the bank, 90% of these decisions vanish. You stop choosing based on survival and start choosing based on preference. You're not buying the generic pasta because you have to. You're buying it because you don't care about pasta. This might seem small, but imagine freeing up that much mental energy every single day. You suddenly have the bandwidth to think about your career, your health, and your future. The second shift happens in your brain chemistry. Neuroscientists have found that financial security literally reduces cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone. High cortisol levels over time lead to anxiety, depression, heart disease, and poor sleep. Think about the last time you had a car problem. Without savings, that check engine light is a countdown to disaster. You panic about credit card debt or borrowing money from family. Now, visualize that same scenario with $10,000 in the bank. The light turns on. You're annoyed, sure. Nobody likes car repairs, but you aren't panicked. You simply schedule the repair and pay the bill. This shift from panic to mild annoyance is the difference between a happy life and a miserable one. It improves your sleep quality, which makes you more productive at work, which leads to higher income. It's a positive feedback loop. Let's talk about the professional impact. This is something people rarely discuss. Let's imagine two employees, Tom and Jerry. They have the exact same job and the exact same salary. Tom has zero savings and huge credit card debt. Jerry has $10,000 in the bank. When the boss asks them to work late or take on a project they hate, Tom has to say yes. He's terrified of losing his job because he's 2 weeks away from bankruptcy. He's desperate, and desperation smells. Employers can sense it. Jerry, on the other hand, operates from a position of strength. He can negotiate. He can push back on unreasonable demands. He can say, "I think there's a better way to do this." If a better job opportunity comes up across the country, Jerry has the money to move. Tom is stuck. This is why the person with savings often gets promoted faster than the person without it. It's not fair, but it is reality. Money buys confidence, and confidence builds careers. Financial experts call this the emergency fund effect, but I prefer to call it opportunity capital. An emergency fund is for fixing broken things. Opportunity capital is for building new things. Most people who save $10,000 rarely spend it on disasters. Instead, they use it to pivot. Maybe you hear about a certification program that costs $2,000 but could boost your salary by $10,000 a year. Without savings, that opportunity is invisible to you. With savings, it's an obvious investment. Or perhaps the stock market crashes. The person with no savings is panic selling. The person with $10,000 is looking for bargains. Now let's address the elephant in the room. You might be thinking, "Olaf, this sounds great, but I can barely save $50 a month. $10,000 sounds impossible." I get it, but here is the truth about human psychology and math. The hardest part isn't the number. The hardest part is fighting against Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time available. In finance, it means your expenses expand to match your income. This is why you see people making 6 figures who are still broke. They get a raise and immediately they buy a nicer car, a bigger apartment, and better clothes. To reach $10,000, you have to break this law. You have to develop a new identity. Most people treat saving like a temporary diet. They cut expenses, suffer for 3 months, hate their lives, and then binge spend. Successful savers view it as an identity shift. You aren't sacrificing, you are building. There is a famous concept by Charlie Munger, the business partner of Warren Buffett. He said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it." While he said 100,000, the principle applies perfectly to 10,000. The beginning is the hardest part. Saving your first $1,000 is brutal. It requires you to say no to friends. It requires you to cook at home when you are tired. It feels like you are pushing a boulder up a hill. But saving your second 1,000 is slightly easier because you have built the habits. By the time you are working towards your 5th or 6th thousand, the process feels almost automatic. You have stopped noticing the sacrifices because they have become your normal routine. So how do we actually do this? Let's break it down into a 3-step blueprint. Step 1 is the ruthless audit. You need to look at where every single dollar went in the last 30 days. Most people think they have an income problem, but they actually have a leakage problem. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use? Are you spending $200 a month on lunches you don't even enjoy? You don't need to cut everything, but you need to cut the things that don't bring you value. Step 2 is automated discipline. Willpower is a limited resource. If you rely on willpower to save money at the end of the month,